Connect 4 on it. It's just like tic-tac-toe.
Giant tic-tac-toe wars.
Tim Collishaw. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Analytically Correct.
Yes.
I got it. We're here with Rob and me, Marty, and Stretch over at Public House on University with Shamrock Liquors. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to start doing a thing as far as like sports are slowing down. We're getting into football season, so we're going to try to do something more a little structured than we normally do. So over the course of the next couple weeks, we're going to do a breakdown of each 2 divisions of NFL and 1 division of college football each week. So this week we're going to do NFC South, AFC South, and the SEC. So if you want to take it away, we're going to just cover pretty much broadly everything and just get into some basic arguments. One thing I had written down, we're talking about NFC South and AFC South, and me and you agreed AFC South is pretty boring. We're going to talk about it anyways. We're going to cover everything. I had something written down. Is the NFC South the best division in football?
I think when it comes to best division, we talk about depth as in not necessarily record or teams, but we talk about like when you look at like the Falcons last year, they had a poor record. They lost their defense by week 3, but you still look at Matt Ryan. You look at they lost they lost their running back Freeman. They lost Freeman by week 1, I believe it was. He was already out.
He's always
with a knee
hurt.
injury.
Yeah, he's always
a knee injury.
questionable.
They lost Tevin Coleman, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, he's also a questionable guy.
And now Julio looked great.
They give a bunch of money to him. But as far as
Calvin looked really good coming in last year as well.
Calvin Ridley, when I was saying are they the best division in football, I'm talking about top to bottom. And I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just asking the question. You have the Saints, you have the Falcons, you have the Panthers, and then the worst team is the Bucks. I mean, the worst team is the Bucks, and they're not that terrible. So I have pretty much as far as notes go.
Offensively, the Bucks are actually very elite. It's defensively where the Bucks get hurt because they're again injuries derail their defense. I like that they have Arians there. I do agree that when you're looking at the division from top to bottom, every team, the NFC South is definitely, in my opinion, the best division.
If your worst team is the Bucks, that's a pretty good division.
When you have teams like the Panthers and the Falcons finishing at 500 or a little bit below 500, then it kind of makes it, look at that group as a whole. The Saints have been, for the past 2 years, have been running with that division now, and it used to be that you didn't win the division back-to-back years in the NFC South.
It was bottom. Yeah. It was whoever finished last, then finished first.
Yeah, it was one of those divisions.
All the way back to Michael Vick, which is one of the more fun divisions in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Cam Newton, you have Matt Ryan, you have Jameis Winston, who every single year it seems like for Jameis Winston, it's like, is this going to be the year that he figures it out? He has these insane plays to where it's like, the play that sticks in the back of my mind is him rolling back into the end zone, rolling back, throwing it. It's like a 40-yard touchdown, whatever. But it's just always like, can this guy? He's like the Matt Stafford of the South.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
it's
a good comparison.
The team is going to go as far as he goes, but is he ever going to take the next step? He always just throws those interceptions in the third quarter, the fourth quarter. That's like it ruins your game.
And you look at Winston. The reason I think Winston's best year should be this year because, like I said, we have Arians working with you as a quarterback coach now. It's a lot different now. I feel like they'll have a better guy with them. With their last coach, it was Are you
talking about for Tampa Bay?
Yeah, Tampa.
Dirk Cutter?
Yeah, Cutter. There we go, Cutter. And he was the OC when they were over there with one another, and then he becomes the head coach. James really spoke highly for Cutter when those negotiations were going on, when Lovey was over there as their head coach. They're looking at getting rid of Lovey, and then they brought Cutter in because Cutter was getting a lot of offers for him being an OC to a head coach. Cutter just didn't work, and I feel like when you watch Cutter call the offense, and I can't recall exactly which game it was, but he calls the offense, and they end up throwing for like 500 total offensive yards. Fitzpatrick was phenomenal, but they only score like 9 points.
It's so crazy how important these coaches are, and most people don't know some of their names. Like, we're only sticking to the South today, but like the offensive line coach is like the 3rd most important coach for any team. The Patriots have this guy named Dante Scarnecchia, who he just takes shitty offensive linemen and makes them at least average or better. You have look what happened to the Falcons after Kyle Shanahan left. And went to the 49ers, and we'll talk about them later next week or the week after, whatever we decide. But Kyle Shanahan and these coordinators make so much of a difference that look what Matt Ryan did when he had him, and look what he did without him. It's like the same players are there. And then once you lose like that schematic edge, these guys are not nearly as good.
I do like where you bring up with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, I feel like he's always gotten a lot of the kind of the downfall, a lot of like people not loving him after the Super Bowl. So in the fact it's not his, and I always say this to him, it's not his fault they lost the Super Bowl. Yeah, could they have run the ball more? Definitely.
They were like a play away.
Yes.
Like, it's just for some weird reason Julio Jones, 6'5", cannot like become a red zone threat.
He's triple. It's the Calvin Johnson effect, man. You get the whole blanket around him, and at that point you got to find someone else. Now that they have a great route runner, Calvin Ridley.
Everyone knows what's coming.
You know where you're going next. I mean, now you have a great runner, Calvin Ridley. Mohamed Sanu is consistent enough for them to keep around. I think that core is going to be really good. I do think that the Falcons need to find a consistent running game to help out that team.
Which, for the money that they're spending on it, they should have a consistent running game. What they're paying Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, they're tying up however much you have in the cap. They're tying up like $20 million in running backs.
And it's a very big questionable move with Devontae, saying the fact he has had a health history from the past before. I'm not looking at Devontae to be a 1,300-yard rusher, but at the same time, you need him to be healthy to create that extra option in the passing offense.
So everybody wants to talk about, should you pay Zeke? Should you not pay Zeke? It doesn't matter. You have to look at it when you're saying how much are you tying up,
exactly.
how much of your cap are you tying up in running backs total. So if you're going to say we're paying Zeke $14 million, they're paying between Devontae Freeman, the Falcons, and Tevin Coleman more than they would ever pay Zeke. Between those two guys, you're spending more than Ezekiel Elliott. So what I wanted to get into as far as like breaking down the divisions and everything, and we talked about how strong we think the NFC South is.
Yeah, Coleman. So I think I said it earlier. I thought Coleman was off. Isn't he like Chicago or something? I don't remember. No, Coleman went to where did Coleman go?
Is he on the Jags or something like that? We're gonna
Coleman's
do
gone.
We're gonna do like a free agent refresher before the season starts.
Coleman is gone.
Fantasy football helps all that. But that's actually not terrible for the Falcons because
I think it's fine for them because I think they should be able to work and find and figure it out.
So what I was gonna ask, not only is the NFC South the best division,
So you.
I guess it was a fantasy football thing or something.
49ers might be the 49ers. No, might be. Damn, they got a lot of running backs. That's the case. So they got McKinnon over there too.
But as far as if your worst quarterback in the division is Jameis Winston, you're doing all right as far as the division goes.
I think a big question also though that we're gonna have to bring up is the Cam Newton question, and he's coming off another shoulder surgery. He's coming off another throwing mechanics thing. If it doesn't, because he's coming to the point in his contract where they can get rid of him, not have dead money be an issue. Is Cam Newton going to be sticking around with the Panthers long term? Because after the Super Bowl, Cam really hasn't been anything.
There's no way that they can get rid of him, though. I mean, if you're signing Dak Prescott to that kind of contract that he's going to get, you're not going to get rid of Cam Newton.
You say that, but let's say they get a top 6 pick this year. And there's a chance they get a solid. I mean, this is a heavy quarterback class.
But it doesn't happen in the NFL like that. Like, when's the.
Kirk Cousins the last one.
What would be but Kirk Cousins is not Cam Newton.
No, okay. Kirk Cousins throwing wise is better than Cam Newton throwing wise night and day.
If you're gonna make a precedent as far as like Cam Newton leaving the Panthers, the only thing you can compare it to as far as injury wise is when Drew Brees and Philip Rivers were on the same team, and then he left. As far as Drew Brees went to the Saints. So if somebody's dumb enough, if the Panthers are dumb enough to let Cam Newton walk, he's going to be on like 30 other teams' radar.
I'm a Cam Newton fan. At the same time, though, if he's not out there winning games and not out there winning the division, he's not out there making the strides that he needs to, because he's had some very good help with the offensive play calling. He's got great coordinators over there. It's not like he has a slum bunch of guys out there calling plays and helping him out. He's got a good quarterbacks guy working with him. It's just, again, if he's going to figure out the next step. And when you tie in money to these guys, my big argument always with Dak Prescott is you don't tie in big money to a guy that you're not for sure on. Are they for sure on Cam Newton right now if you know the dead money is going to be gone?
The problem with the Panthers is not Cam Newton. Cam Newton is like the solution. There's no scenario that I can ever see.
Their defense struggles as well, yeah.
There's no scenario that I can see Cam Newton ever not being on the Panthers, like unless he's like 35 years old or something like that. That's not a quarterback that you let
A
go.
rotator surgery and more throwing mechanics do not pair well for a quarterback who already struggles throwing the ball accurately. He doesn't throw over 55%.
Look at Drew Brees.
Yeah, he throws very, very accurately. He's arguably the most accurate quarterback in the NFL.
But are you arguing for the Panthers, like if Cam Newton doesn't have a good year this year, you're saying the Panthers maybe should think about letting him go?
I'm just saying it's a possibility. You could see that headline start to come up more and more just due to the fact of where his contract's working out and how the team looks as a whole.
With Cam Newton, you're also not going to have a bad enough season that you're ever going to be able to draft a quarterback that's going to replace him.
You would hope not.
With Cam Newton as your quarterback, you're never going to have a bad enough season to draft a quarterback to replace Cam
Personally,
Newton.
I like Cam. I do think that they need to get more receiving help than what they've had in the past. I don't ever think it's been strictly his fault. I think when your best receiver for a little bit was Devin Funches.
Which is a tight end.
Yeah, when you're bringing back Ted Ginn, when you're doing you're just doing stuff like that, it's like.
Who is Cam Newton's best receiver
You
ever?
had Kelvin Benjamin was a receiver for him.
I
for
love
a little
Steve
bit.
Smith, one of my favorite players
He's
of all
one of my
time.
all-time favorite receivers, yeah.
Right, but if that's your best receiver of all time, so who would you equate Cam Newton to as far as in the league? Because if I'm a Lions fan, which I am, unfortunately, I would trade Matthew Stafford straight up for Cam Newton in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
heartbeat.
I would take Cam over Dak in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so Cam is easily top 10.
Yeah, top 10 as a quarterback?
Easily.
Easily? I mean,
Easily.
I could see where you make the argument for the back end of that 10, 9, or 10.
Yeah, I mean.
No, I see. I can agree with you on that one. As a talent standpoint, yes.
All right.
Yes,
would you rather have Matt Ryan or Cam Newton?
Matt Ryan.
Really?
Yeah,
that easily?
Yeah. Matt Ryan he's still consistent, can go out there and throw the ball.
I'm not against Matt Ryan. I was always on the Matt Ryan hype train as far as people were really underrating him, I think. But if you give Cam Newton Julio Jones, I think he would look pretty similar.
Yeah, but Cam can't. My thing with Cam is just the accuracy issue, and having an inaccurate quarterback just doesn't. I think it hurts anyone. I mean, he's just not an accurate guy when it comes to that. I do think his best movement now, the fact that they're going with Christian McCaffrey, him getting better and better, is going to make Cam Newton better because now you have the best read option in football. You have a 255-pound quarterback with a running back that can get in and out of cuts better than almost anybody. I do think that's going to be the best read option that they have, but I also think at the same time that the wobbly.
Oh, it's my fantasy football team.
Oh, I like it.
No, as far as fantasy football goes, we'll get into that later, but I'm not going to be on the Cam Newton train as far as fantasy goes. I'm not in the business of taking guys that are often injured. But so if we're talking about NFC South, who are you going to take to win the division? If you had to pick.
I actually am not as high on the Saints this year as others are.
Okay.
I do think that, of course, the Saints have every opportunity to win that division by all means.
They have the quarterback. They have the coach.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying they're not going to win the division. I do like Atlanta. I do like to see what Atlanta can do. I do think that Tampa will be better.
It just feels like Atlanta chokes every year.
That's the thing. But same with New Orleans. New Orleans has choked every year, too.
If it came to a wild card game and it was if it was the Saints at home against Atlanta, you're going to pick the Saints every time.
You just got to make sure you throw a Hail Mary and make sure the Saints safety can't tackle, because if you do that, you're going to beat them.
Yeah, they kind of are trying to fix that this year as far as the video replay goes, which I'm curious to see how this whole thing goes. I'm not a big fan of reviewing more and more things.
I'm with you on that one. It's not that I'm not with you on the reviewing of things. It's just more of the how many more, you're going to review pass interference. What you do with reviewing pass interference, you can review holding on every play. There's holding every play. There's pass interference on every play.
It's one of my friends from high school. He's a good guy, but he's a Dolphins fan. So he said, what are your thoughts on the Dolphins? He said we never get any coverage.
Tank for Tua, there's your coverage.
If you didn't see from the beginning, we're doing NFC South and AFC South and then the SEC today. We can do the Dolphins next week, but I can tell you, even when we do the AFC East.
Yeah, the AFC East is a 5-minute segment, and that's being generous.
Yeah, they were doing a thing on ESPN. You know how they
Victor Cruz?
they have so much time to fill on ESPN, and they were putting up percentages. It's what percentage do you have this team to win? And it was Patriots 80%, Dolphins 5%, the other team. I'm if you're being realistic about this game, the Dolphins have a 0% chance.
The Dolphins are going to, if they don't, I have a friend that's a really big Dolphins fan. His way of looking at it is somehow we're going to try to tank, but we're going to end up 7-9, and we're going to screw everything up.
No, they have a good potential to be terrible, but if if they're trying
They
to
should be.
if they're trying to be terrible, then they're probably going to be like decent.
They should. Realistically, the best thing for them is they put Rosen in. Rosen's horrible, and they just have a controllable contract for the next 3 years as a backup.
Well, he's also fucking with us because I know him, and everything he does online is just like trolling, which he has some of the funny. He has some of the funniest comments on everything. But as a Dolphins fan, like he's a self-aware Dolphins fan. Like he knows they're terrible, but not terrible enough to become the Browns.
Oh man, I hope Fitz doesn't.
Fitz is gonna win like 3 games.
Fitz will have like 3 or 4 amazing games.
Yeah, of course.
They're gonna be very good games.
So what is? We're getting off track now, which is what we do.
He was NFC South though. Fitz was NFC South.
We don't do structure, so whatever. Fuck it. But so if you want to talk about Dolphins, we do the comments. We're interactive. You want to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick? Why are you going to have Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen? What's the point?
I think Josh Rosen's just it's a controllable, quick contract.
It's a nightmare point.
It's a nightmare point.
What's the point? Why do you have Fitzpatrick and why do you have Josh Rosen?
Because they got Minka Fitzpatrick with like the 10th pick, with the 11th pick, and then they were able to trade like a back-end second rounder for Rosen. It's a controllable contract for 3 years. It's like a $3 million contract.
I mean, just stick with Rosen then. I don't think Rosen's a terrible quarterback.
They got Fitzpatrick before, but
yeah, and it's a team that seems like they don't have a plan.
I would want Fitzpatrick around just to talk to the younger quarterbacks. But if we're gonna stick with like close to the Dolphins and with the NFC South, I will say a hot take that I have with the AFC South on him is that Ryan Tannehill will start more than Mariota will this year. I really do think Tannehill will start more than Mariota. I think Tannehill's better than Mariota personally. I don't think Mariota's a bottom 5 quarterback.
Man, that's interesting.
He's not good.
You know, he came in the same year as Jameis Winston,
number 2
and
pick.
they're the quarterbacks who are always like, oh, this is the next year to take the step.
Yeah.
So you think that Tannehill is a better quarterback than Mariota?
Yeah.
That he should be starting.
Yeah. Maybe not off the bat, but I think by week 6 he should be starting.
When you say that he's going to start, it doesn't necessarily mean he's better. It just means Mariota's going to get hurt.
And just do the fact that
Mariota weighs less than me.
Mariota can't throw the ball. Like, I get people want to kill Tannehill, but Tannehill in Miami wasn't the issue in Miami. The issue in Miami has to be those guys had Adam Gase.
I love this guy.
Bottom 5 human.
Oh, man.
No, but Adam Gase was the problem in Miami. I mean, he was an idiotic coach.
This is like one of my best friends from high school. I love you, Dre. He's like one of those Dolphins fans that knows that Dolphins fans suck.
Yeah, they do. They do.
What do we have to hope for, possibly? It's like,
they really do.
We're going to win just enough games to not get Tua, and we're just going to suck forever.
I'm more of a Fromm guy personally, but
Fromm over Tua?
yeah, I'm a Fromm
They're not
guy.
going to get either one though. Like they have Rosen and Fitzpatrick.
But they'll find a way to win 7 games, and it's gonna be hysterical. Because you don't really tank in the NFL. NFL, you don't tank.
No, they'll split with the Patriots. They'll win one weird game.
In Miami.
They'll win one weird game against the Patriots.
I'm actually going to week 3 Cowboys-Dolphins games. This will be fun getting that W.
Those tickets must have been free, huh?
Damn near. I mean, you're watching basically watching another college team play the Cowboys.
I hope you got the tickets in the shade. That stadium is fucking hot.
Oh man, yeah. Because it's 3rd game of the year, so it's gonna be September heat too. Worse than Cutler? Cutler. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. It's about the same.
Smoking Jay. Jay Cutler. I don't know. And the only reason why I'm saying I don't look at Mariota because Mariota's in the same boat as Winston, where he's going into this year prove a year. Okay, well
every year it's like, oh, this is their year. They have to prove it.
Yeah, he hasn't
And then eventually you get to the contract year, which is this year, and it's like, who's gonna pay these guys?
And I don't look at anyone. I look at Mariota being kind of in a Blake Bortles situation. After his contract's up, they're just going to get rid of him and he'll be a backup somewhere. Maybe a backup for Baltimore. He'll probably end up starting over Lamar Jackson if he ever.
So you like Tannehill kind of more than I do. Would you rather have?
I don't like Tannehill that much. Let's make that clear.
No, you just like him.
I like him more than Mariota.
Right. So would you rather have Lamar Jackson or Tannehill? If you're the Ravens.
Dude, I hate Lamar Jackson.
Why?
He does the one thing that.
Why do you hate him?
Because does the one thing poorly.
He didn't have any practice all season. He came in and won some games.
Does the one thing poorly, and he also had the best rushing attack and the number 1 defense too. Like that was a big thing with Baltimore. They ran off the running game and the defensive game there. The one thing about that he cannot do is he can't throw the football. And they said
it's
when
not
he
that
learns,
he can't throw it. He didn't have any practice. He didn't have any reps or anything like.
He's been practicing all year.
Everyone said he couldn't throw in college, which if you watched him, that's not true. He could throw.
He can't throw accurately.
Yeah, I mean,
You have to be an accurate quarterback.
He never
player
had
in
a
NFL.
chance. That's not the offense they ran in college. That's not the offense that he ran last year.
Okay, but you still got to at some point throw just a simple route, and he's a very inaccurate quarterback. Like, in my opinion, if you're an inaccurate quarterback, you will not last in the NFL.
That's fair. I mean,
Like,
there's things you can teach and there's things you can't teach. And accuracy, when you come into the league, is something you either have or you don't.
It's like,
But I'm not saying that he has it or he doesn't. He didn't have a chance to prove it last
He
year.
practiced all season long with the first team as well, though.
That's not how it works. He didn't
Yeah, he
practice
did.
with the first team all
Yes,
season.
he did. Throughout the year, he was
You think
practicing
Joe
to get-
Flacco has given up the first team
It's not
reps?
Joe Flacco giving up. It's Harbaugh telling him to get the hell out the huddle. Lamar's coming in. That's what happened. That's why Flacco was so pissed off.
I don't think that's true. I mean, do you know that for a fact?
Yes, because they were talking about all throughout the camps last year when they were talking about his gadget play. Lamar was going to be a gadget player. He was and then he became
Which is
more
dumb.
Yeah, I
You don't
agree
draft
with
a
that.
quarterback in the first round
I don't
to be a
believe
gadget player.
You don't draft players in the first round to be a gadget player. That's
Yeah,
a fourth, fifth round guy.
that's
Yeah.
stupid.
It
That's
was the fact that he was consistently working within it, though, was my whole thing. It's like, maybe Lamar does something different this year, and we'll see. I just was not a Lamar Jackson guy when he was getting drafted.
I'm in on him this year.
I did not look at Lamar and think, yeah, this guy can take a franchise to the next level.
But for the Ravens, he fits perfectly. I feel like they don't ever have they won a Super Bowl with Dilfer.
And they ran off a very similar scheme where you have a great defense and a great running game.
It's not the same game as it was back then.
No.
But you can zig when everyone else is zagging.
Mm-hmm.
When everyone else is doing the passing thing with if you don't have a Patrick Mahomes or a Brady or a Rodgers, if you don't have those guys, you have to make your scheme fit the opposite of what the game's doing now.
Yeah.
If you have a Lamar Jackson who you drafted in the first round, you're not going to sling it all over the field.
It's just tougher to be a play-action quarterback when you need those routes, and you need those routes to be on the money, and he can't be on the money. That's a big problem with Lamar I feel like.
He hasn't proved that he can't be off the money.
And this year, we'll see how it looks. I just never looked at Lamar Jackson and said, that guy's going to change the franchise, for any franchise.
When I watched him in college, and I know college doesn't always translate to the pros, but he was a leader of the team, and he was a starting quarterback. And I don't think
He was Petrino, too, and Petrino doesn't really translate NFL. Petrino's put a lot of NFL quarterbacks out there. His best one was maybe Arkansas's Ryan Mallett, and we saw that win.
God, Ryan Mallett.
And he only got the hype he did for being behind Brady.
Don't even get me started on Ryan Mallett.
If Mallett wasn't behind Brady, people wouldn't hype him up the way they were doing.
Don't even get me started on Ryan Mallett.
Next, but big question also for the AFC South is the Jaguars. Will Nick Foles, because the Jaguars, they lost Telvin Smith, who's arguably their best defensive player.
Getting into the AFC South, I mean, I think we're both going to. So did we pick teams?
If I'm picking a team for the NFC South, I mean, the Saints
I'm
are
taking
the best
Saints.
team,
I'm
but I'm
taking,
going with the Falcons.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Falcons to win the division. It's not that I'm saying the Saints can't. I do want to see if the Falcons, because the Falcons stay healthy, it's a good defense. Problem is the defense got really derailed
I just
quickly.
feel like they choke every time. So just give me Drew Brees, you give me Sean Payton. And it's a safe pick, and I'm not saying that the Falcons pick is a crazy pick.
Last year on Sean Payton's contract too.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the pick for the Falcons is crazy. It just seems like every year they choke.
If the Saints win the division 3 years in a row, I'll be shocked on that.
I also
just
wouldn't,
because of the division.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers won.
Yeah, no, and that's the big thing with this division. That's so tough with this division is there is a possibility for every team to win.
The
this
only
division.
thing I would be shocked by is if the Bucks won. We would probably both be shocked. You would have to have like Jameis Winston
if the Bucks got a wild card, I could see that.
You would have to be like
a 9-7 wild card.
A Jameis Winston like career year, some kind of weird thing like that. If we're talking about AFC South, so you're taking Falcons, I'll take the Saints. But I wrote some names down as far as Tampa Bay's running backs. They have Mike Williams. Who is their starting? Who is?
Well, they got the kid.
Who's Tampa Bay's starting running back?
Don't they have Penny in there as well?
No, they don't have Rashad Penny.
Not Rashad Penny. Sorry, they drafted it.
They have Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones. Okay, that was their draft from USC.
Yeah, they don't have very good skill positions or anything like that. So we would say
they do have Todd doing defense though now over there from New York. And I'd say that when he was at the Jets, he got a lot of bad rap for everything. But at the same time, he found a way to win 5 or 6 games with literally a team of nobodies on a consistent basis. I mean, Todd Bowles was not a bad – he had a bad team.
There's people who are made to be coordinators and people who are made to be coaches.
He's a great defensive coordinator.
And so you have Todd Bowles, you have Rex Ryan, you have guys like this who are made out to be defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators.
Phillips.
And you have guys who are perfect at that. But once you become a head coach, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, you're overseeing a whole team versus the concept of a
there's
team.
not many guys who can do it. So, I mean, I think the only thing we'd be surprised by is if the Bucks won as far as the NFC South.
Yeah, but between the other 3 teams, whether it was Carolina, Atlanta, or New Orleans, I wouldn't be surprised
by any of them.
I'd be more surprised at Carolina than I would be Atlanta.
If Cam Newton has like an MVP type season.
If that year happens, if McCaffrey and Cam and the team as a whole just looks
it'd be nice if Cam ever had a receiver.
I just really like to see Calvin Ridley's second year. I like to see Julio on the other side. I like to see Matt Ryan. I just think that if that defense stays intact for Atlanta, they have a real strong shot winning that division.
Yeah, it would be nice if Cam Newton ever had any receiver ever at all. Mm-hmm. If we're going to the AFC South, I'm going to take the Colts. I had them a couple years ago to win the AFC just overall.
I like the Colts a lot. I like the Colts to represent the Super Bowl.
It seems like if Andrew Luck stays healthy.
That team is so young.
Yeah, he can make everybody else around him better. T.Y. Hilton is just like somehow always undervalued. He's like one of the best receivers in the league. And he always gets undervalued every single year.
Because people still confuse him as a one-route guy.
But he's not. He can
exactly.
do everything. If you're going to pick anybody to contend with the Colts, it would be the Texans. You have Deshaun Watson. He had an awesome rookie season, took kind of a step back last year. He was kind of hurt.
Texans got to find a way to run the football, though. That's immediate. And I don't think Lamar Miller's the answer. They got to find a way to run that football because that's a big issue that the Texans have had on a consistent basis. Is a consistent running game. When Watson came out of the draft, I thought the Browns were idiotic for going Myles Garrett. I thought he was the #1 quarterback, even over.
No way.
Yeah, man.
You still feel that way?
Yeah, his college. And the problem
You'd rather have Myles Garrett than you would rather have Deshaun Watson.
I'd rather have Deshaun Watson because Bradley Chubb was the next guy. Bradley Chubb's better than Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett was a project player.
No, Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive ends in the league right now.
No, Myles Garrett, but when he was drafted, was not supposed to be like this great DN. Like Bradley Chubb was. No, he was not. He was more of a project guy.
He was not a project guy. He was.
Yes, he was. He was
first overall.
He was an athletic freak. Just because you're first overall doesn't mean you're great at your job.
Yes, it does.
So Jameis Winston's great at his job. Jameis Winston, no, it does not. That's stupid.
That's literally what it means.
How?
That you're the best
there are plenty
at your
of
job.
#1 picks that are not great at their job.
Okay,
they work.
The only argument you can make in that sense is quarterback. If you're a quarterback, you might get drafted first, but you're not the best player. If you're a defensive end and you get drafted first overall, you are the best player. Myles Garrett is by far a top 3 or 4 defensive end in the league.
Dude. You know what? I hate to say no. Bradley Chubb, I thought Bradley Chubb.
He was hurt his first season. His second season, he was an animal.
Bradley Chubb was an animal his first season.
Yeah, but that's because he wasn't hurt.
But this wasn't. Listen,
Jadeveon Clowney was hurt a couple of games.
Jadeveon Clowney's not a top 5 defensive end. I don't care what anyone says. He's not a top 5 defensive end. I don't think he's not even got double-digit sacks. So your top 5 is a really low standard.
Sacks are not the end-all be-all.
For a defensive end, for a pass rusher, yes, it is.
Just because you don't get the sack doesn't mean you don't affect the game.
I'm not saying you don't affect the game, but they get paid on sacks. You're not getting paid on hurries. You're not getting paid on quarterback hits.
If you're a smart team, then you pay people based on hurries.
You think DeMarcus Lawrence got paid because he can hurry a quarterback?
If you're a smart GM, you don't just look at numbers as far as sacks and hurries go.
I'm not.
You look at how much do you affect the game.
But when you also how much do you affect the game?
Aaron Donald, what's his highest sack total?
He's a defensive tackle. So he's not a pass rusher. He's a defensive tackle.
But he affects the game how?
But that's what makes him completely different than any other player on the defensive side of football because he's an interior guy getting 20 sacks.
He could have no sacks at all in a game, and he destroys the game.
The problem is he has sacks in the game. That's what makes him so highly paid because he's the only interior defensive lineman to really do this.
Right, but I understand what you're saying about defensive ends are measured by sacks, but corners are not also only measured by picks. If nobody throws at you, if nobody runs to your side, if the entire game plan is to not let you get a sack, the game plan is against you.
And I get that. My whole thing with Myles Garrett is I don't think he should have been the #1 pick. I thought Watson should have been the #1 pick that year, considering the fact they had a heavy defensive line class coming out the next season. Deshaun Watson coming out of college had one of the most complete resumes that we had seen, and he made progress throughout each of his college seasons.
And now people are projecting the Browns to be better than the Texans.
And you know what? It's only because it's early hype. I get it, and listen. They paid $17 million for a slot receiver in Jarvis Landry, which Dolphin fans are probably loving.
That was before all this stuff happened,
I'm
though,
saying,
as far
but
as Baker,
the whole team that's coming on. Now he has a slot receiver. He has Odell Beckham on the other side.
Nobody who knows about football is arguing that the Jarvis Landry contract is a good contract.
And if Odell is healthy, which is never a for sure thing.
Right. But if Jarvis Landry is your second or third best receiver, which Antonio Callaway is going to be, I think, better than Jarvis Landry.
Antonio Callaway is lucky if he gets to play a full season because he is an idiot. Antonio Callaway's been suspended from Florida way too many. There's a reason why he didn't go in the first round.
You can say the same thing about Odell.
No, you cannot. Antonio Callaway is not even a percentage of the talent Odell is. Like Odell's is
No,
a
I'm
top
saying as
three
far as getting
talent.
suspended and everything like that.
Yeah, but no, Callaway's actually been kicked. Like, people, Florida fans will tell you there's a reason why he didn't go in the first round. There's a reason why he didn't play much over there. He had a lot of issues, and then he comes into the NFL. He had a drop issue. I don't see him as better being. He's a great third option, and that's his ceiling in the NFL.
He's a great third option.
Yeah, that's his ceiling in the NFL.
And you know, there's going to be a market inefficiency. Market inefficiencies are talked about all the time
Yes.
by smart GMs. You know what it's going to be? I don't give a fuck about draft, like people who have like draft problems. As far as like Tyreek Hill, look what the Chiefs wound up
All
with.
right, you say that, but then Dallas consistently goes after guys with draft problems, and that's not.
No,
a
I'm
smart
saying
GM move,
I'm saying the market inefficiency is not caring about the character issues.
Okay.
That's dumb. Look what the Dolphins got with Laramie Tunsil. He's like their best offensive lineman. Look at
he was the #1 pick that year too. Before his dad put a video out.
he would have been
he was going to Tennessee that year.
Yeah, he would have been a higher pick, but he smoked weed. Oh wow, that really sucks in today's day. Now look,
Antonio Callaway's got a weed issue too though. And dude, you're not in the right. I get that we may not agree with it, but you're
You
not
have
in
to
the right
pass a
sport.
drug test.
Yeah, you're
That's
not in the
one
right
thing.
sport to smoke weed. It just is what it is.
you have to pass a drug test, but if a character issue is your issue, then I'm gonna draft that player.
I miss Jarvis Landry. He's actually the first Dolphins fan I heard say that. I've never heard a lot of Dolphins fans say that they miss him. I heard Dolphins fans say they miss Ronnie Brown.
If you want some Dolphins coverage, I heard Devontae Parker looks really good in training camp.
Is he back on the sideline like on a crush or something?
This is going to be Devontae Parker's
on the-
breakout year. If you're a Dolphins fan,
4
watch
years
out
later.
for it. Yeah,
4 years later.
that's
But
what they teach at Ohio State, being a piece of shit.
I'm not anti-Myles Garrett. I just thought that Myles Garrett was not. I thought Deshaun Watson was the right quarterback for him to have. I think Deshaun Watson's better than Baker Mayfield is too. I thought Deshaun Watson just coming out was just was a top tier prospect that should have been treated as. Trubisky should not have gone before Deshaun Watson. Mahomes, we can say it now because we've seen it, but at that time, Mahomes should not have gone over him. We'll say it now, and I get it now.
It's another market inefficiency when you're just like, oh, this guy's too short. That doesn't exist anymore.
No, it does, but doesn't. I mean, I don't want my quarterback to.
You're
be
either
Kyler
good
Murray's
or you're
height.
not.
Yeah, but we're gonna see like.
Baker's 6 foot. Deshaun Watson's like 6 foot.
No, Deshaun Watson's 6'2".
Yeah, that's not a big difference.
And an NFL standard.
He's not the 6'5" prototypical statue
No, but
quarterback.
in the NFL standard, if you're looking at a guy at 6'2", you're gonna look at him and think better about him than a guy at 6 foot because it means that much more. I'm just saying Watson's ability to move, like Watson, what he did coming out of college and coming in, I thought he was one of the most for sure quarterback prospects we've seen in a little while, to be honest. I thought he was more for sure than Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston was one.
People get really caught up in the college success, as far as
Not
like
success,
Jameis
but
Winston.
progress is my thing with because Watson his second season was more of a guy that can move around versus his last season. He proved that I can do more than just move around. I can also throw the ball a lot too. And his championship games, the big games, he looked great in both of them. Lost one, but still looked great in that one. Like they didn't lose a championship because of him.
No, of course, yeah. And then you look at a guy coming out now like Tua or Trevor Lawrence or any of these guys. I'm just saying like market inefficiencies are height doesn't matter, character issues don't matter. I don't care if this guy has this issue or whatever. Just draft the guy who's the best talent at that position.
Yeah.
And you're gonna wind up being like, oh, we're not drafting this guy because he has character issues, and then you're gonna wind up not winning and not making the playoffs.
I mean, it all depends on the team that he goes to. Some teams can handle character issues, some teams can't. Some teams can just let guys do whatever and be like, okay, we're going to trust you. But then we have other teams that are like, we know he has character issues and we're going to surround him with a team of people, whether it's security, whether it's PR, whether it's this and that. Some people do take care of that better than other front offices do.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like that is like when you look at one thing I've always blamed the Steelers on, and I know we're going off division here, but one thing I will say about the Steelers is people want to blame Mike Tomlin for not controlling the locker room.
Well, that's a race thing.
And even past that, it's just the fact that okay, so he doesn't suspend.
What's different from him from every other coach that has like?
Because I mean, I think he's arguably the if not as one. He's a top 3 coach in my opinion. Tomlin. I think it'd be idiotic for anyone not to want Tomlin as their head coach.
Yeah.
People get mad at Tomlin saying, well, he didn't punish Antonio Brown. Well,
he's a player's coach. That's a racial coding.
When Antonio Brown's showing the video of him going off at the Patriots, it just so happens the next game is the AFC Championship game. You're going to sit Antonio Brown for the AFC Championship game? No. And then they're saying with the Le'Veon Ball situation, I'm like, the front office and the Steelers need to have more accountability for these issues because they're drafting guys that they're not getting a good enough of an evaluation on their players. These questions are asked. If you get about the questions of when you get paid, they want to know what you're going to be like in another 5 years. They're not asking questions for the immediate.
It's all about talent.
Yes.
If you have the talent, if you're Tyreek Hill, nobody cares if you hit a woman. If Ray Rice would have been 5 years younger, he still would have been in the league. If Zeke Elliott, it doesn't matter if he pulls the girls top down in New Orleans. If he's the best running back in the league, he's going to be paid like the best running back in the league. Everyone wants to pretend like we're watching football, like we're not watching something that we're actually watching. Everyone wants to pretend like we're being moral. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah,
If it's on your team, then I'm rooting for that guy. If it's not on your team, Lawrence Taylor, he's like
the greatest defensive player.
One of the biggest pieces of shit as far as a human goes of all time. Like raped a young girl.
Ray Lewis,
blah, blah, blah.
Another guy had
killed
his
a guy.
issues. Yeah, you're
allegedly.
Looking at if the league was built off morals, Tebow would still be a starting quarterback.
No, yeah.
He just would. And
also, if he could throw the ball at all.
And that's another question. If you can't throw the ball, like I said earlier, you're not going to find a spot in this league.
Yeah.
It's
otherwise you're going to wind up on the Mets.
Oh man, God. And he's hitting 150, I think too. It's hysterical.
So I'm taking the Colts. Who are you going to take in that
I like the Colts as well because I'm actually picking the Colts in the AFC to represent for the Super Bowl.
Speaking of morals, Andrew Luck, that's a solid guy.
He's a weird guy, but yeah, he's definitely solid. You ever hear him in his interviews?
He's never going to get busted for picking up a hooker. I'll tell you that.
No, I don't even think he knows what a hooker is. Do they have hookers at Stanford?
I don't think so.
I think hooking up with someone at Stanford is long division. That's when
if
you really
at
go
Stanford,
somewhere.
hooker is like an app.
Dude, honestly, man.
It's like HOOKR.
He'd be Gator from the other guys.
Oh yeah, that's a solid app. I'll tell you right now, Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle. He's coming back.
I do really like. I like the Colts.
Ebron. I'll really shove it up the Lions' ass.
I love Darius Leonard. I think Darius Leonard plays unbelievable. You watch him play. I thought Van Der Esch was going to win Defensive Player of the Year last year, but then Leonard came out and was just
rookie defensive.
Yeah, rookie defensive. But Leonard also had a great shot at. He was in the talks to do. He wasn't going to win it, but he was in the talks for Defensive Player of the Year.
Chubb was always going to win it.
Yeah. When you get that many sacks and playing that well, it's just.
So should we transition into SEC? It's almost. As far as what I have written down, it's Alabama, Georgia. Do you have anything different?
I have A&M as a sleeper in there.
Okay, what does a sleeper mean, though? Are you going to pick them to win the division?
No, I can pick them, though, to possibly be in the SEC championship, though.
Over Alabama?
Alabama, let's not forget, they just got their asses whooped. And I get that
by the other best team in the country.
And I completely get that. And we're gonna see and we're gonna talk, but I'm not gonna be. I guess I don't want to be boring. I want to be like Alabama, and the concept's over, because that's the SEC as a whole for the past 5 years.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you're gonna pick anything,
but if we're gonna go outside
Auburn
the realm,
or LSU,
no, I would not pick LSU or Auburn over A&M, because the reason why is they have Jimbo Fisher, and Jimbo Fisher.
Who just got ran out of town by Florida State?
Because Florida
State, who doesn't deserve to run anybody out of town? By the way, fuck Florida State.
Don't disrespect him by saying Florida State ran him out of town. He made clear to Florida State, pay me or I'm gone. And Florida State decided.
No, the boosters ran him out of town.
Because they wouldn't pay him or get his facilities. He wanted SEC level facilities.
The boosters hated him as far as recruiting.
Because he wanted money and recruiting. You can't hate him because of recruiting. He took every good recruit from Miami.
They kicked him. They ran him out of town, and it wasn't because of money. Florida State can afford to pay whoever they want.
They didn't though. There's a reason why they paid little.
It wasn't about money.
It was not about recruiting because his recruiting was consistently good.
It was because the boosters didn't like him.
Because he wanted more money every year. Dabo just got paid, and that's why he wanted to get paid even more.
It wasn't about money because Florida State can pay.
But they don't.
They're not poor.
Florida State. But my point to you is Florida State does not do that. Florida State does not pay people like that because Florida State goes after Willie Taggart because they know they can get him for $5 million a year versus going after Jimbo, who's going to cost you $8-7. He's getting $75 million fully guaranteed.
Gators are back. Fuck the Gators.
No, that's another team. The Gators have a solid chance. Dan Mullen's a hell of a coach. I think the Gators have a really big chance in the East.
No, they're going to be good. I just hate them.
I'm not a fan of them either, but
I hate the Gators and I hate their fans. I cannot wait till we start talking about college football more like every week. I hate the Gators.
I want to see Week 1 with Miami and Florida. I think that's going to be a great matchup to check out.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm really excited to see that matchup.
Tickets are insane.
Yeah, it's in the worst. By the way, Camping World, you're the worst stadium in all of America. You are hands down one of the most disgusting places. Yeah, it's so disgusting to go to.
Worse than the old Orange Bowl?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the screen's this big. The stands are shitty. Just the whole. I cannot stand Camping World, man. Camping World is just such a venue that you go to and you bring a big team on. You're just like, man, this is Jones High School plays there. Let's not forget, Jones High School plays there.
I don't know anything about this.
It's Camping World Stadium is just a poorly looking area to have a big top tier college matchup on that we have to make Camping World better.
Why don't they play at where the Orlando City plays? It doesn't hold enough people.
I cannot tell you, dude.
I don't know. I think it holds.
I just know where the stadium's at.
Yeah, it holds like 20,000 people.
20,000.
The Orlando City Stadium?
Yeah. So you're saying you want an SEC game to be over there?
I'm not.
That's an 80,000 person game right there, easily.
How much does Camping World hold?
I think Camping World only holds like 60,000. To be honest with you, I think.
Really?
Yeah, 65. Okay. So, but yeah,
No,
I mean,
it's a smaller stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
was just asking the question, you know. I hate both fan bases. fans are the worst. Gators fans are the worst.
fans are worse.
Yeah.
UM fans are bad,
What's
man.
the worst fan in the country?
Worst fan in the
Gators
country?
fans or fans? Florida State fans are pretty bad.
Alabama fans are related. They're there. I mean, here's the Alabama fans that get me. It's like, of course they're annoying because they're so good. So that's why they're annoying. Anytime a team's really
if
good,
Michigan was as good as Alabama, I would be naked
Yeah.
doing this podcast right now.
I think, actually, if you really want to be honest, I think LSU fans are really annoying. Every year they talk about they're going to be doing it. It's like, you guys were number 3 and got shut out
I feel
against
like
Alabama.
Every time I've
at
gone to
LSU.
Louisiana, though, they're so hospitable. I can't really talk shit about them.
I don't want to hear about the hospitality and all that, and I don't. Like, come on. FSU fans are pretty rough. I'm not going to disagree on that one because FSU fans truly think...
You can only see so many boat shoes and khaki shorts.
My thing with FSU fans truly believe that they're better without Jimbo Fisher. Like, there are FSU fans that really think...
They ran a top 10 coach out of town.
Top 10 is very rude. Top 3 is where I have
I
now.
was just being safe. I mean...
Top 10. That's like me saying you got mad about the Jordan top 5 and the LeBron top 5.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and transition right into Jim Harbaugh, which you guys were making fun of me pretty heartily about. I'm a Michigan fan. Oh, Jim Harbaugh sounds like he's somebody who never won the big game. Sounds like he never beat Urban Meyer. What did he say that wasn't true? Jim Harbaugh's quotes were, oh, he's a good coach, but Urban Meyer, everywhere he goes, he wrecks the program. He just has all this controversy and shit like that.
Right,
What's not true about that?
Here's the one thing I've got to say about Harbaugh, though.
Just say it now.
It's bad to speak on someone that you have not beat, and then you say that. Like, that's just my look
But
on
what
it.
did he say that wasn't true?
I get you to say that wasn't. Everything he said was true, yes, but here's the problem.
He had a murderer in his huddle at Florida.
And listen, I understand that, but my thing with Harbaugh is every year his team, and as a Michigan fan, he knows every year you guys have all this hype. Every year you're supposed to have the best defense.
Every year, top 5 defense.
Your
Every
quarterback's
year,
supposed
great
to be
recruiting class.
life-changing.
Every year, top 5 defense.
Every year he's supposed to take his team to some trip, whether it's Greece, whether it's Italy, whether it's this.
What team did we have that lost that should have won besides last year? Every year we were the
that was
underdog.
my thing. You guys have never, in my opinion, had a team that, like, yeah, this team could win the Big Ten over Penn, let alone over Penn State. I thought Penn State's been better the past 5 years. And you guys had a good team last year.
The only time that we were favorite that we lost was last year.
Yes. And I thought that was the only team that
And
they
we
could
got our
really
shit
talk about.
pushed in.
But Michigan gets a lot of hype because Harbaugh produces a lot of, I will say, false hope.
I don't think it's false hope. He has a good team.
He has a good team, but we're talking about, it's not that.
Look who we lost to. We lost to Dwayne Haskins, a top 15 pick, the
Mm-hmm.
first Big Ten quarterback to be picked in the first round in like 20 years. We lost to Cardell Jones. We lost to all these, and now, of course, we can't get a fucking break because what's the guy at Fields goes from Georgia to go fucking Ohio State.
Yeah, man, well, I mean, you guys have Shea Patterson. I've heard all the Shea Patterson love for like 2 years now. My thing with Harbaugh.
Yeah, but he's good. What do you mean you hurt Shea Patterson love?
Because
last year was all right, and next year's gonna be better. He was good last year.
I thought the defense was more of the reason for the record being the record that it was. You guys had a solid defense. I actually
We had the
thought.
best defense in the country. It wasn't a solid defense.
I thought that's what I'm saying. I thought it was a very, very solid defense. I mean, I don't
Not
say,
a solid. It was the best defense.
I'm not
in the
calling
country.
a defense that gave 60-plus points the best defense in the country against a team that they should not have given. That's a lot of points against a team that it's your rival. That's my problem. It's your rival. Like, you see where I'm going. And Clemson, I thought, had a better defense. Their whole front line just got drafted. I mean, it was like. I don't take
Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush, but went
Yes.
the top 15.
Yes, I like Devin Bush.
And the other guys came back.
I'm not a big Michigan player coming from Michigan players going to the NFL though. I don't think they really are all of that, but I have a couple of them that I'm not too fond of. Your Jordan Lewis's, your Taco Charlton.
What's wrong with Jordan Lewis and Tucker Charlton?
Taco sucks.
How does he suck?
He already had a gimmick for tacos before he got a sack. Like, that's disrespectful. How do you have your own gimmick and you already have
He's
stats
in the
to
starting
prove?
rotation. I mean,
He's not in the starting rotation with us.
Yes,
No,
he
he's
is.
not. No, he's not.
He's
Randy
your,
Gregory
he's your third best defensive end.
That's because David Irving got suspended and kicked out of the NFL.
Well,
he was our fourth at a point.
What is that? Well, he must have been coached by Urban Meyer then. I mean,
If he was coached by Urban Meyer, he'd be a top 10 pick.
yeah, he also would have killed somebody.
Hey,
probably.
you know what? would you take Joey Bosa or Taco Charlton?
All the Bosas are pieces of shit. I'll tell you that right now. I would take Taco Charlton.
But my thing is, when it comes to Michigan this year, is I do think that they should be really.
Well,
If they don't win the Big Ten,
we're
Harbaugh's
gonna see.
gotta go.
We're gonna see. That's
If they don't
that's
win the
not
Big
true.
Ten, Harbaugh's got to go.
Yeah,
There's
why-
no way
why does
Harbaugh
he
can
have
stay.
to go if they
Because
don't win?
what's another reason? Why didn't you win the Big Ten this year, Harbaugh? Especially if Penn State wins it.
Like,
If
who
Penn
are you
State
gonna
wins
get to
the-
replace him? Who's better?
Well, if you can't win with these teams recruiting classes you have every year, then
Somebody wins and somebody loses. Only one person wins.
you don't want to go into the whole Les Miles range of everything, where you're just having Les Miles teams for years, where you'll win
So
9
you
games.
you lose Nick Saban and you get Les Miles. That's a huge downgrade. People talking shit like, oh, if Michigan doesn't win this year, we're gonna get rid of Jim Harbaugh. For who? Brady Hoke?
Okay, I didn't say Brady Hoke, but like, come on, like that's a rough one there. I mean, think about it. If you go from Saban to Miles, I mean, there's a reason why Les Miles.
If Jim Harbaugh left Michigan after this year, he would be hired in the NFL immediately. Immediately.
Doesn't mean it's a good hire though.
Cliff Kingsbury was a shitty college coach.
And you and I 100% agree on that.
He was
That
a shitty
stupid
college
hire.
coach, and just because you coach somebody.
It was, yes. That strictly I do because he had ties with Patrick Mahomes. That was a very, very dumb hire. I did not like the hire whatsoever. But when we're talking about jump too far off the SEC, let's not forget Missouri's got Kelly Bryant. And Missouri's known for having a very, very efficient offense.
Is that the guy that had a gun in his trunk?
No, that's the guy that lost the job to Trevor Lawrence. And he only had lost one game at Clemson. Lawrence is just the overall better quarterback.
I had, it's pretty boring. I had Alabama and Georgia.
And that's the safe pick by all means. I think Florida can really battle out in the East against Georgia, and I do think that Texas A&M will battle out the West. I think Texas A&M will win the SEC within the next 2 years. I think that when you give arguably the best recruiter in all of football, now the state of Texas and his past
What do you consider as the best recruiter? Because to me, some programs recruit themselves. Like Alabama, if you look, I just looked it up. Clemson. If you look at next year, it's just Clemson, Clemson. The top 150 as far as like recruits go. Clemson. Another stupid orange paw.
Florida State may have recruited sub, but Florida State wasn't taking away Miami talent from Miami the way Jimbo Fisher was. It's the big thing too, though.
Clemson is recruiting everything.
It is, but at the same time, you got to realize with Jimbo Fisher now having the state of Texas, and he already creates quarterback after quarterback. Jimbo Fisher's the best quarterback coach when it comes to college football. There's not a guy who creates a better quarterback. Vanderbilt, man.
Jay Cutler if he comes back.
God, Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt wins the SEC, imagine the money you went off that one.
Oh man.
That'd be sickening. But hey, the reason why they're in is for their baseball. Baseball won me some money, so.
Yeah, so we did, today was NFC South, AFC South, SEC. So I'm picking Alabama and Georgia. Who are you picking?
It's such a safe pick, and I want to pick that, but just to be fun, I'll go with Georgia A&M. But I can't even say that with a straight face. I think I can't, to be honest with you. I mean, it's going to be I think Alabama, Georgia's coaching is going to play in a huge part, and Kirby Smart is. I mean, when we're talking about Kirby Smart's a damn good coach. We can't take anything away from Kirby. The thing that I think that's killed Georgia multiple times now is they don't know. They have not been able to play that if you switch your quarterback in the middle of the game, and that's killed them twice now. Georgia, I think I'm picking Georgia to win the SEC. That's who I'm picking to win the SEC. I don't think Alabama is. I think Georgia will win the SEC.
Well, they're going to have to go through either what you said, A&M or Alabama.
And I think that they can go through either or. I love Fromm. I think Fromm should be the number one quarterback this year. I think Fromm's the best pro quarterback going into a pro-style offense. Tua has the...
Well, Tua can't even come out, and Lawrence can't even come out.
Tua can come out next year.
Tua can come out.
Yeah, Lawrence
is in his second year.
Yeah, Lawrence true sophomore, which that's going to be the tank for Lawrence sweepstakes here in 2 years. Teams I think are going to actually tank for him. Like, they're not going to make any moves in the offseason just to get him. I think Trevor Lawrence has been, and of course it's easy to say now, he was the number 2 guy in his class behind Justin Fields. I want to see what
Justin Fields, good Ohio State.
I don't like Justin Fields, to be honest with you, dude. I
already hate him.
I don't like him just from the stand. I'm not a big Justin Fields guy. I think Ryan Day was going to be interesting to see him over there, but I do think that you guys I think you guys should win the Big Ten, personally.
We'll see.
I mean, you have everything working in your way.
When we talk about the Big Ten, I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Michigan.
Well, we're not even talking about Michigan State or Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's just those teams who are always on the periphery.
It's the freaking Iowas that upset you or whatever it is that come out of nowhere for no reason.
I told you last week when we were looking at it in the schedule, we have everybody at home this year.
Yeah.
Like, if not this year, then when?
At least a playoff berth. I mean, I think, like I said, I like to see what Florida can do. I want to see what Dan Mullen can pull. But at the same time, I think it's early. I think it's a year too early for them, just like it's a year too early for Texas A&M. If I'm going to put those two in there. But I think the next season, after this season, next season, Florida A&M are really going to battle out. It's going to be a 4-team division within that SEC. I just don't put LSU in that talks. And the thing about LSU is they showed it last year, man. When you go up against Alabama, you're number 3 in the nation. It's at home. You got blown out like 22-0. Like, you got shut out at home on your own home field against a big rival, and you're the number 3 team in the country. That, to me, is uncalled for. It's completely uncalled for. Like, and my big problem with the SEC, too, is that you're going to have these teams like Florida, who lost 3 games last year. You have these teams like LSU, who didn't look that good last year, and they're going to come out and somehow be top 10 when the season enters up. It makes no sense. That's just college football as a whole. They have all these stupid rankings where it's just top 25. You're going to find stupid teams like Boise State's in the top 25 somehow. Like,
it doesn't matter. It's the top 15.
Whoever
has a chance has a chance.
I want it to be the top 10 is all that matters personally. And we'll move into it. But I do think if I'm picking for the SEC, I'm picking Georgia over Alabama.
All right.
I think it's the year Kirby does it.
So we got NFC South, AFC South. We did SEC a little bit this week. We're going to go through everything over the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to do, probably before football season starts, an entire podcast about fantasy football. So we're going to knock all these divisions out, college, pro, and then we'll do a fantasy football thing.
Before we, one thing I did want to bring up the Jags real quick is the Fournette situation.
We didn't talk about the Jags at all.
Well, I was saying the Fournette situation in Jacksonville's a serious. I mean, that's a situation.
He's going to be there. I mean, they're not going to trade him. He has no trade value.
Jalen Ramsey, I think, is going to get traded.
It's so crazy how fast the NFL changes as far as like that defense, how good they were, and then now they have Nick Foles, and now all these players like don't want to be there.
And they still don't really have a receiver over there.
If they put everything together, they could challenge for it, but I just don't see it working out. Andrew Luck just has such a higher ceiling to me.
Andrew Luck is literally back to looking as a top 3 foreign quarterback again. He looks like he's back in that MVP talk, and I'd like to see it. Like I said, I picked the Colts for the AFC side in the Super Bowl this year. I think the Colts will make a strong run in the Super Bowl this season. And the thing about the Colts, too, is one thing to their front office. They had the most money to spend, and they didn't spend it on these big names.
I mean, how long can a future Hall of Famer, which we think Andrew Luck's going to be, how long can he not make the playoffs or win a Super Bowl? He's going to win a Super Bowl eventually.
Well, making the playoffs, every year he's like, when he's playing, they're in the playoffs. When he's not playing, they're not in the playoffs. It's one of those effects with them. And
Andrew Luck is going to win a Super Bowl eventually.
I agree with that. And they were an AFC Championship team at one point with them.
Just pick it every year. Eventually, he's going to win a Super Bowl.
He's taken a lot of time off to get his body right. You saw last year, he's right again. Mentally, he's right. Physically, he's right. It looks good. I really thought they were going to make a move for Antonio Brown. They didn't. But I do think at the same time that that front office is that their GM is more competitive than anyone else on that team, I think, right now. Because their GM is very, very straightforward it's now a battle again with the Patriots. And when people laughed at that, all of a sudden, you saw the Colts get really good again. I think this year is going to be an AFC matchup between the Colts and the Patriots, and Colts will win that. But with the Jaguars...
You saw Andrew Luck beat Peyton Manning when he was still like Peyton Manning. Not his prime, but he beat him.
Yeah, he did.
So eventually there's going to be a passing of the torch.
I do... not to kill Jaguar fans' hopes, I just don't see it happen. There's a lot of dysfunction in that locker room. Like, there's a lot of dysfunction.
I mean, they have talent, but it's
They do.
It's just, are they going to put it together?
Ramsey, I think, is going to get moved off before the deadline, just because Ramsey's already made clear, I'm going to be the best paid corner since you guys didn't work with me about it.
Yeah, and then the Patriots will get him and they'll win the Super Bowl.
The Patriots do spend money on corners. They spend money on corners over there.
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore.
Gilmore, yep. They didn't spend money on Malcolm Butler, though.
NFC South, AFC South, SEC, all good?
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Another edition of Analytically. God damn it.
Man, I was pulling for you on that one.
We got to change the damn name. Another edition of Analytically Correct. Thank you guys so much for watching.
What's the other podcast getting called?
factually accurate. Whatever the Bundesliga thing is, they're not in Bundesliga.
Factually accurate. I love it.
What do you want to do for next week? You want to do the AFC East, AFC South, and then I kind of want to save the Big Ten just because I'm going to go off.
We can do the East with the ACC, then NFC East, AFC East.
We'll do
ACC.
ACC next week, AFC East, NFC East.
All AFC East fans, just be ready.
So
It's
you're
about 2
Cowboys
minutes.
next week.
Yeah,
All right.
in 2 minutes, we're going to be through the AFC East.
We'll see if Dan can come on maybe next week, or we can get some other damn Cowboys fans on here. We'll do ACC next week.
Look for a Dolphins fan. We'll be talking about them next week. Because the AFC, we need something else to talk about the AFC East. I don't want to hear Patriots won 11 games.
We're just going to say Patriots and move on. So
we just finished the AFC East just right
Yeah,
here.
we already did it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you stuck with us to this point, fuck Gainesville, fuck the Gators, fuck FSU. Anybody that's not Michigan, that's why they're all not in Bundesliga. Peace.
That's great.